How's it going, everybody? I got one of my buddies on Dave's Facebook page that asked the other day about when you're setting up your spring snare, what if you tied the end of your snare line off to the ground or something, you know, had it secured so that when your snare goes off, this piece is pulled tight and it tightens that noose up around the animal's neck. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a little loop in this, and it's starting to rain on me already, so I'm going to try to get this done quick as I can. I don't have a tree that I can tie off to, no limbs low enough, I should say, that I could tie off to do this. So I'm doing this. I've got a piece of bungee cord tied to the end of this cordage here, and that bungee cord is going to act as my tree limb or my spring. Alright, so I need to tie this out right yonder. Ought to work pretty good. We'll go down a little bit lower. I don't need it to spring solid, but y'all get the picture anyway. Just going to tie this off real quick. So that it's pretty snug when it snares. Alright. And I'll show you a close-up of this after I get it done here. Let me get my trap set here. You know, that bungee cord there is what I use to put my hammock out, and it's pretty solid as far as, you know, tension and everything. It's a good idea if you're in an area where you don't have a good spring tree or anything, you know, that you could use, but you've got a knot or something on a tree that you could tie a piece of cordage to. A bungee strap would work pretty would work pretty decent as an impromptu snare. Alright, now that's pretty touchy, as you can see. I might have needed to give me a little bit more slack on my loop here so I can work with it. There we go. The loop ain't gonna be quite big enough, y'all, but that I'm in a hurry. It's getting ready to come a-raining on me. I need to get in the house, not for my help, but for my camera's help more than anything else. So we'll just say that that snare right there is bigger. Obviously I can make it a little bit bigger. I've got my bait stick here. Of course, you'd want your loop big enough that from either side the animal's going to be standing in it. I don't really need the bait stick. Around here I got enough acorns I can throw down in there, and these acorns, they're going to come in here and hit this with their head. I've got the rope tied over here. I'll just come in here and give you a close-up of that real quick. Zoom down in here real quick and show you. I've got my rope tied off here. There's my loop that my thread's going through, my bank line's going through, and it comes back around to my toggle. So the idea is when the toggle is tripped, it's going to pull tight, and that loop, even though the animal's not going to be off the ground that much with the way I've got this one set up, is that I'm limited in how much space I got here, but it's going to snap this line around that animal's neck. And I'd say it's more than likely, if it catches him around the neck, it's more than likely going to crush his windpipe instantly. If you had that noose on top of your bait stick, it'd catch him around the head more often than not. Down on the ground, it's probably going to catch him by the front ankles or something. And I don't know that that'd be a good thing or a bad thing. Probably be a bad thing. Probably snap his leg loose and then he'd be got free. Your dinner be running through the woods without a leg if you did that. But the basic idea of what the young man was talking about, it'll work. You just got to engineer it enough that your noose is high enough up off the ground. I said I could have tied my loop up here and had it secured here, That way as it sprung, it'd have the animal higher off the ground. But this is the basic idea of it. And we're gonna set this off real quick. You know, happy little dinner in a fursuit comes over, gets inside your noose and says, you know, I like that peanut butter you put up there. He knocks your bait stick and see how it loops up around your hand. Like I said, I'm just using a bungee cord, and my arm and the weight I'm putting on it weighs a whole lot more than that animal, but that's locked in there pretty good. If I just used a couple of fingers, you can see how it's closing up around it. You just take my loop down, and I just cut that loose. Like I said, I've got my toggle tied on there, but then right down from it, I just tied me a loop in it with just an overhand knot, and then run the tag end of my bank line through it, and that way it pulls through easy, and it'll pull all the way down to there before you feel any resistance on it. You could make that loop a little bit bigger on it, and it slide through even easier for you. I said you can move that loop anywhere you need it, so that you got plenty of cordage to use. You can tie as much off on the bottom as you need, you know, as much lengthwise. That way, you know, it's going to pull the animal up off the ground. You know, if you're talking about a rabbit, a squirrel, a coon, possum, anything like that, you don't need but 1.5 foot, 2 foot max clearance to get them totally off the ground and have it, you know, strangle them, or if it catches them around the chest, it's going to constrict their lungs so that they can't breathe. And it's obvious it's going to finish the animal off a little bit quicker, putting that extra weight on it. If you're just relying on the weight of the animal to catch it, it's going to spring around them and it's going to hold them there, but it's not adding a whole lot of compression other than their weight and their movement. There's nothing to make it tighten up around them any more than their own body weight. So I'm not saying the old spring snare isn't a good thing. It definitely works. It's been proven for years and years and years. This is just an alternative that one of the brothers had mentioned. I just wanted to show that it did work real quick. And like I said, it does work. I'm not going to say whether it's better or worse, or, you know, whether there might be something I don't notice about it that, you know, would be another hindrance. But if you tie it correctly, you can tie it off that way and get it to function for you. It's just a lot easier to just do it the old way. It takes less time and less resources, because you do have to have more bank line in order for it to be tied that way. Definitely a lot more bank line. I wanted to say too, you know, y'all saw the only thing I used in doing this was my Wetterling's axe here, and that's the Mora #1 that my son got me for Christmas last year. The one he got from Dave for me. So that's all I used to put this together. Just used the Mora to clean that saddle out a little bit so that the toggle would slip through, and cut everything else with the axe as far as the big wood and all that. So you can make do with a axe and a small knife out in the woods if you absolutely had to. Saw would definitely make it a lot easier and make it a lot cleaner looking. You wouldn't have all this on top here. But that's it for this video, y'all. I appreciate everybody watching. Please give me some opinions and post some comments on this one about what you think about that. If you've got another idea, another take on it, please do a video on it and post it for us. That's how we're going to continue to learn. Alright? Appreciate it, y'all.